details of these products yet. So in this episode 7, this is exactly what we're going to do. In case you missed the preview just before, let's go to our prototype and I will show you what we're going to do here. So what we're going to implement is to implement this detail screen like this, and also implement this favorite icon here so that users can toggle the favorite product. We'll also implement this add to cart. So in this add to cart, once it's clicked, this particular product is added to the cart, and again, once that function is performed, the next thing is that this pop-up, this dialog will come up which shows them some of other products in case they want to add that to the cart, like the McDonald's app and all that. So just for them to add more, and once he sums up the total for all their cards down here, which we're going to see implement in the next episode that is going to come. So in that episode, we're going to implement the actual card screen so that we can preview what's in their cart and for them to be able to add or remove from their cart. So here we can also multiply the quantity of this particular product. And again, in our home screen, which bears our product of our view screen, because our product of our view screen is the child screen of the home screen. So in this home screen, we implemented this cart, this icon here on the top app bar to show they have some product existing in their cart. And also what I didn't add in this prototype is that this favorite icon is going to appear in all these product card here so that they can actually add them as their favorite from here or remove them as their favorite from here as well. So that's what we're going to implement in this build, and I hope you sit back and code along if you have been following us in this build. So let's get to it. So we can now close down this and close down this. So for we to start that implementation, each product has an ID, and from that ID we can actually identify which product have been selected from the product overview screen. And in order to read that data, the data from that particular product, and query them rightly from our database, we go to our domain, and there we add another repository. We have a product repository here already. So now we're going to add a new function, and that function, let's call it read product by ID like this, and it's going to have one parameter which is our product ID of type string, and it's going to return a flow. So our flow of type request state, and the request state is going to be of type product. Okay, so like that. Need to close this up. Yes. So now with this function we can read and query and access this particular item that has been, or product that have been clicked already from our database. So let me just add that up here. So we go to our product repo implementation and also implement that function right here. So in this product implementation, let's just copy this and modify that. Okay, so here we have our send. So we're going to assign this to channel flow as we did for the others. Yeah, so now we query our database and pass products, but here we're going to call the document. Let's remove this to say.document, and this document will pass our product ID like this. So collect our snapshots, then collect latest, then snapshot. Here we're going to map this differently here. So we say if is not snapshot dot exist. If snapshot doesn't exist, that means there is no item for that product. There is no document for that product. We call send. So our request state dot error, and we pass product not found. Let's just put capital to initialize it for language respect. Okay. So return collect our state here. Then after that, if we actually find the document for that particular product, let's create a variable and say product or products equal to snapshot dot to product. That's our mapping that we have done up there. Remember, this is our mapping here. So then where are you? I've lost it. Where are you? Show yourself. Okay, here. So now we can map that so that we can just let's change the title to capital letters we have done for the others. So snapshots dot get string, and let's pass the field, which is the title dot or empty dot uppercase, right? So here down here we're going to fast our product already, so every other thing is fine. So it's error reading product detail. That's what it should be, like this. So that's our function, that's the function, and that's it for now. Let's commit that again, reproduct by ID implementation, like this. So let's commit and push that. So that's done. We can actually close this. So now what we need to do is to go ahead and create our product view model, product details view model kind of. So here, let's close this down, then go to our features, and in our features, let's create a new package for our product details, like this. So in our product detail, let's create a class. What am I doing? Okay, so in this class, we'll call it product details view model. It's a long name, isn't it? All right, so this product detail view model is going to have one parameter, which is going to be a private var product repository, this one down here, and that means now we can get the states of the function. So here we create var, we say product state is equal to mutable state flow, and here we're going to pass our request state of type product, and here we call our request state dot loading, like this. So then let's create the public variable, which is going to be our product state, and it's going to return a state flow of type request state dot of type products. Then we'll assign that to the private product state, like this. Then moving further, let's create a quantity variable, even though we have not created. We'll do this later actually. So let's create a function here that we'll call load, and that load we pass our product ID of type string, and here in the body we call our view model scope dot launch. Supposed to import view model scope. Okay, it doesn't give me the option yet. So here we have not inherited from our view model class. That is why we cannot view that view model scope. So now we will find our view model scope dot launch, and here we're going to call our product repository dot read product by ID, like this, and here we'll pass our product ID dot collect latest, and let's name this state, and down here we'll solve our state dot value, and we'll assign that to state, right? So there is our load function here. So for us to, because I want us to implement the UI straight up, but let's collect the states and the functions for this counter up here, so that once we are here we can implement this widget and also call them in here. Okay, so let's implement that. So first of all, let's create a private variable that we'll call quantity, and let's assign that to mutable state flow, and assign that to 1, which is the basic number. We don't want the quantity of the item to be less than 1. So here the public quantity, we're going to return a state flow of type int then we assign that to our private quantity like this. So let's create the function to increment and decrement that widget. So here we create a function that we call product quantity increment. That's a long name, but I want it to represent the function well. So here we're going to say call our private quantity dot value or dot update, because we want that to update. So here we call current, we call this current, and here we say current plus 1, that's the increment value, dot coerce at most, because we're going up, so the most is going to be 99. That's the maximum value. So we create a similar function for the decrement down here. So let's call this decrement, product quantity decrement. So here is going to be -1, and this is coerce at least, because that's the least value, and the least value here is going to be 1. Okay, so that's just the function for that widget. Then we have other functions, like if you have a look at our product overview prototype here, we have this add to cart, we have favorite, we have buy now, then we have this browse for more down here. So let's just add the stubs for those so that we can implement them later when the time is right. Okay, so first of all, let's create our add to cart function with no parameter and an empty lambda, and also let's create our buy now, no parameter yet, we'll decide that later. And then for we have our toggle favorite and no function yet. So now let's just call these stubs. So because we're not focusing on that, we're focusing on building our product details screen. Okay, so now it's time to create another composable function that we will call product details screen like this. Copy that. So here at composable function, we paste what we've copied. It's going to have some parameter on the body. So let's flesh that out. So before we forget, let's go to our DI and add this product view model, okay, so that we don't forget that and move on. So we have our product overview view model. Now we need a product details screen overview model. Sorry, let's paste that here. This is going to be product details view model like this, and it has only one parameter for now, so that's fine. So our module is complete. We did not create any new repository, so we can close that down. Let's go to our product main card, which is where we navigate to the product details screen and route that well as well. So let's go to, it should be in our component here, main product card. So on click, have we added on click here? No. Okay, so first of all, let's add on click here, on click lambda here. So now everywhere we have called this, let's call this down in our main card, which is here. So we add the modifier, we say dot clickable, and in our clickable we pass on click like this. Okay, so with that makes our card clickable, the entire card clickable. Okay, so now when we go to our product overview screen, it's going to request for that. So we specify the remaining item and we just pass on product click like this. So the next place is to check our not here, our popular products. On success, we have our product card here as well. So what we need to do up here first of all is to call our product.id like this. Okay, to make our popular products clickable as well, we come down here. Okay, we've already passed that. We've passed that down here as well, so we don't require any changes. But before we move on, now that we've created our product details screen, we need to add that to our nav graph as well. Let's go to our home screen, because that's the parent screen for our product overview screen, and in that home screen we're going to add another variable here, which is to navigate to details screen. So navigate to details, and that's going to have a string type and return a unit like this. So now after that, we'll go down to our product overview screen somewhere down here. Okay, this is our product overview screen. So on product click, we just assign navigate to details like this, and that's it for now. So the next place, our next stopover will be in our nav graph. Is our nav graph? Okay, I haven't opened here yet. Where are you? So here in our nav graph, first of all, let's add our product details screen here. So we're going to call this details screen like this. So it's going to have a variable of ID string that is not nullable, because without the ID we can't locate the particular product. So that is it, just like that. So we can close that down and head back to our nav graph. In our nav graph, let's create our composable screen first of all before we attend to that error up there. So we'll say composable, and in our composable, let's pass our route, which is screens dot details screen like this. Then in the body, we'll call our product details screen like this. So in our product details screen, we have not added that. Let's go to our product details screen and add that parameter, navigate back. So this is going to be a lambda like this, empty unit like this. So now we can call that in our nav graph, and we say navigate back, and we pass our nav controller dot navigate up like this. Okay, so right up here we need to add that extra navigation that we have added. So navigate to details is going to be, we pass our product ID, we call this product ID, then here we call our nav controller dot navigate, then here we call our screens dot details screen. Here we will now pass our ID, which is our product ID like this. Okay, so I think with that we should be able to navigate safely to our product screen now. So let's check that out. So as you can see, we have safely navigated to our product details screen, but we don't have anything to show. So it's giving us, it's all blanked out. So right now we can go back. We try this navigates as well. So what else needs navigation? Nothing. So this navigates cleanly. Okay, so we have routed safely our screen. Now it's time to flesh that screen out. So let's commit all that so that we can track all our changes. All right, so we're all caught up. So now we should close all these down. We don't need them. We won't be needing them anytime soon. Product main card. Okay, then yeah, and the view model. Okay, so everything looks like it should. So right now let's flesh out our product overview, product details screen. I keep saying product overview screen. So in our product details screen, we are going to start by calling our scaffold, and our scaffold is going to have our top app bar. So we have this top app bar somewhere, I think in the home screen that we just closed down. Yeah, so let's copy the top app bar from here. So copy that and paste all that here. So right now we have our top app bar. It's not going to be a center aligned top app bar. Let's use the normal top app bar. Okay, so now we need to import that. That's imported. It still has error, optimize. Okay, so now we're going to do things a little bit differently here. So what we will need to do, we don't need this animated content here. So let's cut out this text and just place the text here, and here we don't need this. So here we're going to just add the details like this, and every other thing looks fine to me. So in the navigation, I think the navigation is just simply the icon button, nothing fancy. So let's cut this out, and remove the rest. So in this icon button, we'll paste the icon, and here on click is just going to be our navigate back like this. So we can actually close that up to reduce the space. Then this icon is going to be our back arrow icon. So let's call our resources dot icon dot back arrow like this. So this is back arrow icon like this. So everything looks okay. So the next thing is that we're going to add an action here, and let's just put a lambda there because we've not created the quantity stepper yet. So here we have this top up bar. It needs us to opt in for this. So everything is happy now. So now for the body of our scaffold, we need the padding. Let's call this padding or padding value, whatever. So here, down here, we are going to use our display result from our util class. So when we need to collect the state from our view model before we do that. Okay, so let's optimize that, and up here let's inject our view model. So we call this view model equal to coin view model, and in our coin view model is going to be of type product details view model like this. Then here we call our var, say product state by view model. So here we're going to call our product view model dot product state our state dot collect our state like this, and we're going to import the get value, and that seems to be fine. So let's collect the state of our quantity as well. So var quantity by view model dot quantity dot collect our state as well like this. So those are the variables we need for now. So we come down here, we call our product state dot display result like this. So in our display result, we have all these parameters, specify the remaining arguments like this. So let's take away that modifier. So on idle, we want to call our loading card. We are not having any idle state for now, so let's take that off as well. So on loading, we're going to call our loading card, and we use our modifier to ensure that if you use the maximum size, modifier does fill maximum size, max size like this. So then on error, let's call our info card. So here we pass message, we call this message like this. So on our info card, and our image is going to be our resource sys.icon.dog, and then the title we say like this. Then the subtitle is going to be our message like this. So on success, let's add a lambda, flesh that out. So for these other ones, let's just cut them off. We don't need them. Yeah. So let's now work on success. So on success, that is where the magic happens. So let's call this product. So on success, we're going to add a column here to style and format our item. So that column is going to have our famous modifier dot fill max width dot height. Let's set the height to like 250.dp, and also we also want to clip it dot clip. We set that to rounded corner shape. No, sorry, not yet. This is for the image. So this will fill the maximum width, and we set our padding, and we set that to our padding values equal to padding value, right? So then let's set a general padding of 12.dp on the outer of all the items. Okay, in the on success, this is what we're going to do now. We're going to layer out this detail screen, all the elements that we have here. So first of all, we have our image. We've added our top up bar already, except for these counter buttons here. Then after that, we're going to make this section a whole section of its own. That means we're going to use a column to layer out this, a lazy column, so that it will be scrollable, because this this will be, we want this to be fixed at the top here, so this can scroll in itself. Okay, so let's do that now. Let's go back to our code and flesh that out. So in our Android Studio, we have added this column here and added our padding values. So the next thing is to add our async image. So I think we've used that async image somewhere, maybe in the manage product screen, I guess. Yeah, we have our async image here. So let's borrow that, copy that, and go back to our product overviews, this detail screen. So here we don't have any global context that we've declared here, so let's just call our local platform context.current here, and let's put this in a new line. Our data is not going, we don't have a screen state here, so here we'll call our product image like that. Our crossfade is okay, product image, yes. So in our modifier, we're going to do something a bit different here. So our modifier, we set it to fill the maximum width, and after that we want to set a static height for our image, which is going to be like 250.dp, and after that we want to clip that section, that async image. So let's add our rounded corner shape, and we set that to 12.dp as usual. So the next thing we need to add here is a border. So our border will have a width of 1.dp and also have a stroke. We'll have color, we'll have our color. So our color here is going to be our border idle color like this, and also we don't need this. Yeah, so we have our border idle. Then next we have our shape, so that we match the parent shape, and it's going to be our rounded corner shape set at 12 as well. So after that, I think we're done here. Our content scale is crop, and every other thing seems to be fine. Shortly, let's give this a quick spin and see if we can see anything on our product detail screen yet. So now our app has launched, and let's check that out. So if we click this, we can see that we are not getting any data yet. So that means we can't read our state just yet. So it's stuck on the loading here. It doesn't reach to the on success, so there is no data return. So the problem should be with our product details screen. So I've already added this save state handle to collect the state. So this function here, which calls our read product by ID, is not yet called. So now we can manually read that state here using an init block, and now our product ID, let's say save state handle dot get string, and we pass our ID string, or we return an empty string like this. So with that, we can manually collect our state, but there is an issue with this though, because we are manually reading, updating our product state from here, which is not so good. And when in our resource management, the init might not be properly cleaned up, which will give us a lot of overhead at the end of the day, and our error might not be handled in the collect block, as we have called collect latest here. So but we're going to modify and refactor that in a better way later. But let's relaunch this application and see if we have any data yet from that update. Okay, so as you can see, now we have our data, but as I said, this is not exactly effective. So let's just modify that before we proceed, so that we are trying to make this look production ready and able to use the best architecture that is possible, so that we can collect our flow. If you remember, when we go back to our admin repository, our product repo implementation, we are collecting a flow here, we are returning a flow here, and we are signed out to channel flow. So now we want, because we are reading this item by ID, we want our app to react to the ID changes in the save state handle properly. So because of that, we're going to modify this. I will take this entirely out, and I will create a variable here that I'll call product, and that product will say, we call our save state handle dot get state flow, get state flow like this. So here we're going to pass the key, which is the ID, or an empty string, which is the initial value of an empty string. So now we're going to now call .flat map latest dot like this. So here we can call this ID. Oh my goodness, what am I doing? We can call this ID, and then down here we call our product repository dot read product by ID. Then we pass our ID like this. So down here we can now call stating, and our scope here is going to be our ViewModel scope, and our started is going to be sharing while started dot while subscribed. Then we can set that to 500 milliseconds. That's 5 seconds, so that if it doesn't return anything, we time out. Okay, so then our initial value is going to be our request state dot loading like this. So we need to opt in with experimental coroutine API. So now this implementation is more effective because it reacts to ID changes in the save state handle, and it uses flat map latest to restart our flow when our ID changes. So when we click on another product, when we navigate back and click, it can restart the flow immediately. So, and it also maintains a proper subscription cycle here. Then, and is more declarative and testable. So we can test this other than the manual reading of the state that we did initially. Okay, with that change that we've just made, let's give our app a quick spin and see if we'll be able to see any item or some of the details in our details screen yet. Okay, so we can't still see anything yet. It's still loading endlessly, as you can see from here. So let's go back to our product details screen and see if we missed out something. Okay, so here in our product, we called our product state, which we had initially. So now it's going to be the variable product that we've just created, this one. So that means this is not also necessary at this point. So what we're going to do is to relaunch our app once more again and see if that's gives us something back. Okay, so moment of truth. All right, so you can see it returns our async image that we've added before. So the next thing we're going to add is to add those details down here. So just like here, we're going to create this section now. This section is a single card that we're going to create down here. So we're going to align that next in our implementation. Okay, so let's do that now. So we're going to do that by creating a private composable here. So a private composable is going to be private function. So let's call this product details card, because it's going to have all these other elements that we're going to layer out now, so that we'll use a lazy column to call that, so that it will be scrollable just like this. Okay, so it's going to have a couple of variables. So first of all, we have the title, which is going to be a string, and after the title we have the description, which is also a string, and after that we have the energy value, and is going to be a nullable int. Then after that we have the price, which is a double, and after the price we have allergy advice, which is a string, and we have ingredients, which is also a string. I think that's the last one here. So then in the body, we're going to use a card, as I mentioned earlier. So let's tie this card a little bit with our famous modifier. So our modifier dot fill max width, and we add a shape. So in this shape, we're going to add a rounded corner shape. So in this rounded corner shape, I want the top start to have 12.dp corner, and I want the top end to also have that 12.dp corner. So the bottom will not be, we don't want the rounded corner shape in the bottom. So you see that in action soon. So let's call our card defaults. In our card defaults.card colors. So this our card color is going to have the parameter of surface dark like this. So then after that, we're going to use a column to layer out all the elements in that card. We're going to use a column to layer all these elements. So we're going to add this first, this row first, after the column as a child element of the column. Then all these other elements, then this particular section is also created separately. We'll see that in action now. So now we call a column, and in that column is going to have a modifier dot size. So let's set the size of this not size, let's set padding. So let's set a general padding of 12.dp for this column, for all the elements in this column. Then after that, we set the column, the row. This row is going to bear that energy value icon and the price on the right hand side. So let's style this row a little bit with our famous modifier again, dot fill max width. Then let's set the horizontal alignment. We set our alignment dot space between. Did I import the wrong alignment? Sorry, this is arrangement, not alignment. I mistake this with the column arrangement like this. Okay, so that's fine. So let's set our vertical alignment to alignment dot center vertically like this. So first of all, in this row is going to have another child row, which is going to be this first two, which is the icon and the energy value here. So now let's call that here, and so we add another row. So that row is going to have only one element, which is the vertical alignment. We want it to align center vertically. So now the first element is our icon here. So our icon, will add that with our painter resource. So we call our resources file class dot icon dot flame, I guess. Yeah, that's the right one. So in our content description, we call this a flame icon. Then down here, let's add our modifier again so that we can set the size of this icon. So modifier dot size, let's set the size to 14.dp. That should be fine. Then after that, we want to set the tint so that it will have the colored version. So we call our color. So it's the color Android graphics. Don't do that. Color dot unspecified like that. I think we've called that library before. So after that, let's add a spacer, a width. Let's add a width with a spacer. So modifier, I set that to modifier dot width, and let's set that to just 4.dp should be fine. Under the spacer, let's add a test, and this test is going to be our energy value. So we return 0. Then don't forget our unit. The font size is going to be our font size dot regular like this. Okay, so now that we have added that test, the next thing we can add here is, now we have added this, let's add this price test as well. So this price test is going to be in the outer row. So in that outer row, we can just simply copy this test, and this is the outer row here, paste that. So this is going to be our price, and don't forget to add the pound sign. So now, because we're talking about money here, let's add a font weight of .bold, and after that we can also add the color to make it stand out, and set that to our brown like this. So we have finished this part, so let's deal with this part now. So for that part, let's add a spacer. So we can copy this, paste it down here. So this is going to be a height spacer, not the width, a vertical spacer. So let's make this 8, and this is going to be just our title, and the font size is going to be regular as well, but it's going to be the font weight. Let's set that to font weight .bold, and that should be it for this one now. Then after that, we can copy this and paste that one more time, but this is going to be like 4.dp, just the distance between this, and this is going to be our description, and our description is not going to be bold, just a regular size description. So with that, I think we have come to this stage. So now we need to create this outer box here. So this outer box here, we need to create another private composable for that, okay, and then call it under the description test. Let's do that now. So under this main composable, which is our product detail screen, let's create another composable here, and we call that a private. No, this is going to be, let's cut that out. This is that's going to be outside this. So this is going to be a private function. Let's call that details info section, and that's going to have a parameter which is 2 parameters, the title, and this is going to be a string, and also the body of the section, and it's also going to be a string. Okay, so in the body of that we just use another card. So let's go on. I can copy this card properties here, copy this and paste it here so that we can move fast. So now in this card we have a modifier. Sorry, undo that, not exactly that place. Yeah, here. So we have a modifier view max width. Then here is going to just have a general rounded corner shape, and here is going to be surface light like this. Okay, so in the body of that we're going to use a column to style that, and in that column we're going to use our modifier to set it to fill the max width. Modifier, set it to modifier dot fill max width like this. Okay, I think we've set that up here. So what we need to add here is an internal padding to give it a better outline. So we set that to 12.dp. so that's this padding around here, around this card. So now we are going to now add a text, and that text is going to be title, and after the title we set the font weight for this to be font weight dot bold like this, and we send the font size was the font size dot regular. Then here after that let's copy this again and duplicate that. The body is now going to be, so this is going to be the body like this. So then we can also add a spacer here. So that spacer is going to be using our famous modifier. Set that to modifier dot height. We set that to 4.dp like this. So with that we have added this element. So what we can do now is to go up here. Then up here we can add, let's copy this spacer, paste it here. Let's make this 8.dp. then here we call the details info section down here. Then we set our title. We set the title. The first title is going to be allergy advice, and the body is going to be allergy advice like this. So we can also duplicate that once again, copy that, paste that here. Let's make this 4.dp. this is going to be our ingredients like this, ingredients. So that's this whole section done. So we need to create this, and we're going to create another composable and add this to the main card. So we'll do that now. So for we to create this row, let's create another composable. So we call that composable, and it's going to be another private function. We'll call this details bottom actions, because these are buttons that we're going to use to perform actions. So this is going to have parameters on favorite, which is the first one, and it's going to be an empty unit, and also on add to cart, and is also an empty unit, and also on buy now, and it's going to be also an empty unit. Okay, so in the body we're going to use a row to style this. So let's call a row, and in that row let's style that row a little bit. So that row is going to have our famous modifier, and we set that modifier dot fill max width, and here we set our horizontal arrangement, and our arrangement is going to be arrangement dot space by, let's set this to like 8.dp. then let's add a vertical alignment, and our alignment is going to be center vertically. So the first item we have in this row is our outlined icon button. So on click we pass that to on favorite click, and after that let's add a modifier so that we can set the size of this icon. Dot size, let's set that to 46.dp like this. Then after that let's add a shape, and we call our rounded corner shape, and we set that to 12.dp. and also let's add a border. So our border, we call our border border stroke, and we set the width to 1 dp, and also the border idle, the color to border idle, like this. Okay, so in the body of that outline icon button, we're going to add our icon, and here we use our painter, call our painter resource, and call our resources class dot icon dot heart. Okay, so then the content description is going to be heart icon, right? And we use a modifier to set the size. We set that to 24.dp. okay, so now that we have set that, we have set the first icon here. So the next thing we can add, okay, so the next thing we can add here is to add these buttons. So for that button, we're going to create the button outside of this row, inside the row. So here we call our button, then on click we set it to on add to cart. Then after that we call our modifier dot height. Let's set the height to 46.dp, and then let's set the weight to 1f so that it takes the remaining space depending on the screen size. So shape, we call our rounded corner shape, and we set that to 12.dp as usual. Then let's call our colors. Need to add comma here. Our colors is equal to button default dot button colors, like this. So let's call that to brand yellow, like that. So in the body of this button, we are going to have an icon. We are going to have a text, then an icon. So do I have a text anywhere I can steal? Yes, I have this text here. Let me copy that and paste that here. So here, this is going to be our add to cart, and it's going to be bold, regular. Then lastly, we can color the text and set it to our text primary, like this. So after the button, we can actually add another spacer. That's going to be a width, okay, dot width, and let's set that to like 8.dp should be fine. Then lastly, we add our icon. So this icon, we use our painter, call our painter resource, call our resource class dot icon dot shopping cart. Yes, so the content description is going to be shopping cart icon. So the next thing is to set the size of this icon, modifier dot size. So let's set this to 16.dp for now, and also let's set our tint, and we set that to icon primary, like this. So that's the first button. So what we can do is to duplicate that same button, copy that, and just paste that below here. This is going to be on buy now, and this is going to be buy now, and every other thing I guess remains the same, but our icon is going to be the pound icon, pound sterling icon, like that. So that's it, and I think we should be fine. So let's give our app a quick rerun, but before we do that, let's just quickly add, we haven't added that up, this details button bottom actions. So we haven't called any of these. Okay, so I've initially added this spacer here under our async image, then I added these modifiers and all this styling. Then we called our product card here, which is very fine. So the next thing we do now is to add on the details bottom actions that I've just created now. So what we're going to do is to add a spacer here in this item and call our famous modifier again, modifier dot height, and we set this height to 12.dp. Then after the height, we can call our our details bottom actions like this. Let's clear this out. So here we're going to have on favorite. So we call our view model, I think this is view model toggle favorites like this. Then on buy now, view model on buy now or buy now. Okay. Then we have on add to cart, we call our view model add to cart like this. So that's everything for this scrollable section right here. So now let's give our app a quick spin, but before we do that again, let's add the primary button, this primary button here, so that we can just run it once and not come back and proceed as fast as we can. So primary button here, nobody for this. Then in our primary button we're going to have a test, and our test is going to say browse for more like this. So then our icon is going to, let's use our painter resource, we'll call our resources dot icon dot book, I guess. Yes. So now after that we have enabled, it's always enabled, so we set that to true. And on click, let's add an empty lambda for now for that. So let's give our app a quick run and see how far we have gone. So it's that moment of truth. We don't have anything here, but we have the button. Why? Okay, what did I mix out here? I think I made some mistake. Oh, my bad. All this should be outside that row. Cut this out. So this is the row for the price and the energy value. So this is the row for the price and the energy value. So outside that row in the column section is where we want all these other elements, and I guess that's why they are not showing up. Okay, so it shows up now. You see that simple error there cost us our first joy. You know what I mean. So this is a little bit tiny. This is supposed to be 8, so let's check that out. It should be down here. Yeah, this is supposed to be 8, not 4. Right, so here this is our title description 4. That's fine. So let's give it a quick spin and see if we have corrected that. Yeah, I think that looks a lot better now. Yeah, so now we have almost finished everything with our detail screen UI. So the next thing is to add those counter button up here so that we can increase the count for this particular item that is already selected. Okay, so let's do that now. So to create this item here, we're going to start by creating these buttons. These are separate buttons, and we're going to start that by coming under here. We add another composable, and it's going to be a private function. So I'm going to call this the stepper button. So it's going to be stepper button, and it's going to have its own parameter and body as usual. So here we're going to have a test, and that test is going to be a string, and after that we have on click, because we want to make them clickable, and that's going to be an empty unit as usual like this. Okay, so in the body we're going to use outline test field, outline button, I meant to say outline button like this. So on click we pass on click. Then outside that, let's set some content padding. I think I did not yeah, okay, content padding. Let's use padding values and set that to 0 dp because we don't want any padding at all, even default padding. So now we use our modifier. Let's set the size, modifier dot size. Let's set this to 24.dp, nothing fancy or bogus. So here you use our shape and call our rounded corner shape and set this to 6.dp. Then after that we can now add a border. So let's add a border and call our border stroke and set our width to 1.dp and the color to be border idle as we've done before. So in the body of this outline we now add our test. So this test, the test is going to say test. We'll assign that to our test like this, and after that we add a font size, and that font size is going to be dot regular. Then we have a font weight, and font weight dot bold. Okay, so with this stepper button now, we can now create the parent element where we'll call this stepper button from. So we call our uncomposable, we call our private, oh, what am I typing? Private function. So we call this our quantity stepper, like this. So that is also going to have its own parameter. And first of all, we have our quantity, and it's going to be an int. And also we have on minus click, that's going to be an empty unit as well. And also on plus click, and that's going to be an empty unit as well, like this. So in the body here, we're going to use a row to align those items. So that row is going to have a vertical alignment, and it's going to be alignment or center vertically, just like that. So now we call our stepper button, and our stepper button is going to have a test, which is going to just be, the first one is our minus button. Then on click, we set on minus click, sorry, like this. So we don't need a body for that. So here, let's ignore that warning for now. When we add the next stepper button, it will clear out. So let me just copy that, duplicate that, paste that here, and change this to plus, and call our plus click, like this. So in between the tests, we're going to add this other test. That's a simple test that we're going to use to receive the count. So now here, this is going to be our quantity dot toString dot part start. So we set the length to 2, want it to be just double digits, then the part char is 0 where you start from. So now we are going to let's set the font weight for that. Okay, the font weight is bold, the font size. So let's use a modifier to add a padding around that. So we can call our modifier here, modifier dot padding, and let's set a horizontal padding of 12.dp for that. So with that, I think we can now call our quantity stepper up here in our actions section. So in our action section, we say quantity stepper, we set that to, let's remove this body. So the stepper, we set that to our quantity is going to be quantity, like that. Then on minus click, we set that to our ViewModel product decrement. I think that's the one, yeah. Then on plus click, we set our ViewModel product increment, just this one. Okay, so let's give that the final or the quick spin to see how that shows up for us. Okay, all right, so we have our button and our counter is working, but we need this outline here for our quantity stepper. Where are you? Okay, so the color is not border idle. This is going to be brand yellow. Then I think this is a bit squashed to the end, so let's add a spacer after that. So we can add a spacer here using our famous modifier dot width. You can set that to 12.dp, like this. So let's give that a quick rerun and see if that looks better. Yeah, so it looks better. You see the button stands out more now, and our text, our button is working. So we can gladly say that we'll finish the details, our UI for our details screen. Everything is as it should look like and is working temporarily. So let's start with implementing this. We implement the favorite flow first to read our favorites and collect that action in our database, then also set up our cards as well. Okay, so go grab a drink and come back, or let's continue. All right, so welcome back. Let's start with creating our cards item data class. So we go to our models here. So in our models, let's create a new model class. We're going to call cards, like this. Okay, so our cards is going to have some parameters. So actually this is going to be a data class, right? So this data class right here is going to have some parameters. So first of all, we want a value, a var that we will call the product ID, and it's going to be of type string, right? So we have another variable that will call our quantity to collect the quantity of item in the cart, and it's going to be an int. Then our var created that when this var cart was created, and it's going to be a long, and we use our local clock dot system. I think I've imported it's the Kotlin clock. I was supposed to, Kotlin time dot system dot now, because we want to get the exact time, the accurate time this item, the cart, was created. So they can also update their cart, maybe deleting or adding an item. So we have updated that to also get this information when their cart was updated. Copy this, paste this here, then we have to opt in for this. I don't like adding it as a constructor, so I'll cut this out and paste that here, then take this constructor out to make it look neater. Alright, so that's the items. Then again, for our favorite item here, we need another data class. So I can copy this and paste this here, and we can call this favorite like this. So this is going to have a product ID, and just created that. The favorite doesn't need the quantity, and the favorite, we don't need the updated at this point. So we also need to opt in for that same experimental, or do the same thing again. Experimental time, cut it, paste it here, then take out this redundant constructor. So now this is the data class for our carts and our favorite items. We're not going to use them straight away, but it's pertinent we add them. Okay, so let me commit this. It's going to be cart data cart stroke favorite data class like this, and push that. All right, so let's get back to work. So we can close this down. So the next thing we need to add is to go to our domain and add the new function in our customer repository. You can close this down, shut this down so that it doesn't take too much memory from us. All right, so here, I'm in the wrong repository. So customer repository here, we need to add a new function here, and that new function, let's call them cart functions like this. So here we're going to add a suspend function that we'll call our add to cart, and our add to cart, we have our product ID, and our product ID is of string type. Then we have our quantity to add, and it's going to be an int quantity. Okay, so now, and this is going to return our request state of type unit like this. Okay, so now we have another function here which is going to be a suspend function, and this is going to be our toggle favorite, and it's going to have our product ID parameter of type string. Then it's going to also, we're missing a T here, it's going to return our request state of type boolean, because it's either toggled on or off. So now we have another function, is going to be a suspend function, so it's favorite to map the items that are already marked as favorites like this, and this is going to have a product ID of type string, and we return our request state of type boolean, so it's either a favorite or not. Okay, so now we go to our customer repo implementation, and we will need to implement those members. So we click OK. So now the first to implement is our add to cart. So we're going to, so let's add, now that we are having subsections in our database, it would be nice to add a var. Let's add a constant var up here. So let's say we add a private constant var that we call our customer collection, and this is going to be our original customer collection. And we can also add another private constant var here again that we'll call our cat sub collection, and this is going to be our cat. And the last one, we can add our private constant var. This will be our favorite sub collection, and this is going to be our favorite, like this. Okay, so now we can now just replace this to our customer collection and do the same for the other path that we have called initially. So this can be replaced with customer collection, same as here, customer collection, and same as here, customer collection. Then where again? Okay, I think that is it for now. So now let's implement our add to cart. So in our add to cart, let me go and steal another function here. Okay, I'll have to write this out. So var UID is equal to, let's get our current customer UID, or we return we return our request state dot error, and we pass user not available, like this. Okay, so then we also check again that if product ID is blank, then we should also return our request state dot error and send them a little message and say invalid product ID, right? And we can do the same again to check if quantity to add is less than or equal to 0, then we should also return our request state dot error and give them a little message to say that quantity must be at least 1. Okay, so now after that, now let's create another variable here that we call our cat doc, that's cat document, equal to our firebase dot firestore. So first of all, we call our first main collection, which is the customer collection dot document. So that document is going to have the UID to make sure we have the right customer dot collection. Now we are going to call our cat sub collection, and then we call our document and do that document, then we pass our product ID like this for that document. So now let's run a transaction to prevent race conditions if the user taps too fast or multiple devices are on the same time. So what we do is we call our firebase dot firestore dot run transaction. So let's call this transaction, and here we say var snap equal to transaction dot get. So here we are going to pass our cat doc to get the exact document that we've mapped the path above. So you say if snap, like collecting the snapshot, exists, then we can now update dot update. So that means we've added the item to the cart. So we call our cart doc and we pass the map off. So here we're going to map our quantity, that's the quantity of the item that was added, and we map that to our field value dot increment. So an item has been added, so quantity to add dot to long, like this. Okay, then we also map the updated at so that we get the actual time they updated their cart, updated at, for monitoring, so that we can find out abandoned cart and know how to retarget the customer, the server timestamp, like this. Okay, so if every other thing, if this fails, then else, we now call our transaction.set. So here we're going to set our cart doc, then map off. So in this map off, we are going to, let's copy this, our product, we're going to map our product ID. We map that to the product ID. Then our quantity, we map that to quantity to add, like this. So then our created at, we map that to our field value, field field value dot server timestamp like this, and we'll also do the same for our updated app. Okay, so now at the end of it all, we can now pass our unit here. Then we can now call dot await in case there is other things running before the request was made. So now we call our request state dot success, and now we can pass the unit. Okay, so we're supposed to put all these in a return try, and I missed that out in case, so that we can catch any other errors. Cut this and we call return try, and we paste all that. So here we can catch any exceptions that we might encounter. So our exception, and we pass that to call our request state dot error, and we give them a little message and say failed to add item to cart. Then we return the message dot message like this. Okay, so that's that function done. Now let's implement our toggle favorite function as well. So we can just copy all this actually and modify it. Alright, so let's start from the beginning. So here we don't need to check that quantity to add. So but the product ID check is correct. Firestore, yes. But here we're calling our favorite sub collection like this, and we pass our product ID, yes. So our Firebase here, we're going to, okay, here let's create a variable here that we'll call is favorite toggle, and we'll assign that to this. Then here we call our snap. So here this is going to be our fav doc, our favorite document. So here is going to be our favorite document like this, and here as well. So yeah, so for our favorite, this is going to be, we're not updating anything at this point. So what we'll do is we delete this and call delete. So for the delete, we call our favorite doc, so that once it's toggled, it can delete once it's toggled off, it can delete the item. So here is still our fav doc, and here we're going to map the product ID and also the created at. We don't need the quantity for this. And after, when every other thing, we can now call through here, and we're not calling our unit dot await. So here we're going to pass is favorite toggle here, and this is failed to toggle favorite like this, and the little message. So that's that function done, and we have a similar implementation for our is favorite as well. So let's copy this and paste that here. So but here we're going to do things a little bit differently, so we can cut all this off, and now we've called our Firestore. So let's call this is fav doc, since we've used fav doc before. So it's fav doc. So here, yes. So now we call get, because we want to get our favorite at this point, dot await like this. So now what we need to call here is fav doc dot exist like this. Okay, so now it's going to be fail to, do that here, fail to read favorite state. Okay, so that's it. So that's the three functions that we have just implemented. What have I done here? So all we need here is await request state. Okay, I need to trace this down, return. Okay, so now we now move to our view model to implement this function, which is going to be our product details view model. So we can actually commit that. So to call our functions from our view model, we need to add a product details UI state to collect the state, because once we click on this add to cart, it gives us this dialog here which shows the user more more products they can select from to upsell them on also other existing products, so that they just don't buy one thing and leave. They can buy burger and want chips with it. They can buy burger and want drinks with it. So we give them that option to select something extra. So with this, we're going to create that UI state so that we can make this possible to collect the state, so that once this is clicked, this pop-up comes. And as you can see, this button shows us the amount of that previous item that was selected. So when we click this, we add more product and it sums that up down here. So that's the behavior that we are expecting and we're going to implement right now. Okay, so let's close this down. So first of all, let's create those data class to collect our product details UI state. So here, this the data class is going to have variable that will be show suggested, because we're going to use that to show the suggested product. Show suggested dialog like this. Okay, so that dialog is going to be return a boolean, and we set it initially to false. So suggested. Okay, then we also have suggested products, because we're going to read the list of suggested products once that dialog is open. So, and that's going to return a request state of type product, and we assign that to request state dot idle initially like this. Then secondly, we have our var is favorite, and it's going to return a boolean, and that we can initialize to false. Then the last one is var action message, and here we're going to return a nullable string, and we can initialize that to null now. Alright, so now that we have added that, let's add our repository here. So private var customer repository like this, and let's not forget, let's go to our DI and make sure that our product details view model can get that repository. See, it's already complaining. Okay, alright, so let's close that down. And now the next thing we can create here is to create the parameter to collect we have collected our quantity here. So now, let's create the variable to collect the state again. So we call our private var the private UI state, and we'll assign that to mutable state flow like this, and we pass our product details UI state here, this one. Then the public one, var UI state, and we return a state flow of type product UI state, and we'll assign that to our private UI state dot a state flow like this. Okay, so that's fine now. Now that we've added the customer repository to our DI, I've added some other items here, like our favorite IDs, our added to cart total, and our added suggested IDs. So these favorite IDs is to read the favorite flow, which we are going to see shortly. So what we're going to do now is to create the variable for the suggested products that is going to be in our dialog. So after this is going to return a state flow of type request state of type list of products, because we're going to return a list of other products for the customer to choose or add to the item they have already selected. So here we have added this private var here, suggested enabled here. So we call that, and then we call .flat map latest, and this flat map latest, let's call this enabled. So we add a check here to say if not enabled. If not enabled, then we should return a flow of, and we pass our request state.idle. Else we should return our product repository read popular product. Then we can now call on start and set emit to our request state loading. So after that, we can just copy this state in, copy this and add it here. So here we are going to have loading request state.idle. It's no longer loading. So here we opt in for that experimental coroutine API. So moving on, let's create the variable to read the favorite IDs so that we can identify which item is favorite. So this is also going to return a state flow, and we'll call a set of type set and of type string. So we'll assign this to our customer repository dot. Okay, we have not created that function to read the favorite flow yet, so let's create that and move on. So we go to our customer repository here and we add another function that we call read favorite ID flow, like this, or ID flow, and we return a flow of type request state, of type set, and of type string. Okay, so like that. So now let's go to our repository implementation and also implement that. So here it says implement members. Say okay to that, copy that out. So in our read customer ID flow, let's copy this return try from here, copy this, paste it here, then modify that. So here we check our UID, user not available. Yes, that's correct. Then we need to assign this to channel flow. So here, so we can just cut this out. This won't work. So here we say UID dot is null or blank, then we should return send, and we call our request state dot error, and we return user not available. Okay, then we can now return our channel flow like this. So after that, we can now call our send again, and here we call our request state dot loading. So down here, what we're going to do is we call Firebase, and we say Firebase dot collection, customer collection UID favorite sub collection. Then here we're going to call snapshot dot snapshot, like that. So here, let's cut all these out, dot collect latest. So here we call this snapshot like this. So let's create a variable here that we'll call IDs. IDs is equal to snapshot dot document dot map, and we set our it dot id dot toSet like this. Then we call send again, our request state dot success this time. Then we pass our ID like this. Then this does not belong here anymore. So here down here we say fail to read favorites. Okay, we still have some error to deal with. Okay, this is going to be a try. Doesn't need to. Okay, so that's fine now. So that's that function. Return channel. Yeah, like that. Okay, everything seems to be fine. So let's go back to our view model, product details view model, and call that read favorite ID flows like this. Okay, so when we have called that, we can now map that and say state. We can now say states dot get sources data or null dot or empty like this. So outside of that, we can now add our state in again, copy that, paste that here. Then our view model scope, this is going to be an empty set like that. So that's how we read our favorite IDs. Then let's create another variable here that we'll call private var is favorite, and here we're going to return the state flow as well of boolean type, and then we set that to our favorite IDs dot map. Then we set this as IDs, and we say IDs dot contains product ID. So after that, let's call our state in again, copy that, paste that here, and now we say this is going to be false. So to get this ID, I think we need to use the save state handle to call that ID. So what I'm going to do is I'll copy this so that I can make it a global parameter. So copy this, cut this out, and up here I will say private var product ID that will return a string. I think I have what I need. Okay, we'll return a string and then assign that to our save state handle like like that. So the initial value here is no longer required, so we'll set that dot or empty. So this is not going to get a state flow anymore. So here we'll say get of type string, like that. Okay, so that will now lead us to refactor this our product a little bit. So here we say state flow of type request state type product, then we assign that to our product repository dot read product by ID. Yes, that's the one. Then we pass our product ID like this, and down here we don't need this mapping here, this flat map latest anymore. So that's now our product, and that will still work. So now our product ID here, we can now use it here as well. Okay, so that's that implementation for the favorites. Its favorite. Then we can now move forward to collect this state so that we can access it from our UI. Okay, so we can add that here. So here, let's create a private var again, private var that we call our base UI state, like this. Then we'll assign that to a mutable state flow. Then here we call our product details UI state, like this. And then we say show, we set our show dialog to false. Then also added suggested IDs, we set that to an empty set, and also added to card total, we set that to 0.0, and again our action message is null. So after that, let's create the public UI state that we'll access in our UI. So var equal to UI state that will return a state flow of type product details UI state. Then let's assign that to combine, and we pass to import the combine flow. So our base UI state, then suggested products, then we have our favorite IDs, and we have our is favorites. The space is not necessary. So down here we're going to now name these base suggestions and also fav IDs, and then is fav, like this. So here we say base.copy, we map that, and now we call our suggested products and assign that to suggestions. Then our favorite IDs, set that to favorite IDs. Then is favorite, we set that to is fav, like this. Okay, then I think I still have that on my clipboard. Oh no, let's copy that save state in and paste that here. So here our scope is still the same started. So but our initial value here is going to be our base UI state dot value dot copy, and here we will set our suggested products to our request state dot idle. Then our favorite IDs, we set that to an empty set. Then is favorite, we set that to true. Okay, so we are still having this warning. Oh, okay, this is why. So right now, I think I imported the wrong combine here. That's why this thing is still complaining. Let's cut that out and optimize this. Now that we're here, close that up. Let's go down. Still the wrong one. I think it's the coroutine flow one is the right one. Okay, this is my fault. So now this is supposed to be a list. So with that, I think the error is gone now, but this is still complaining. Okay, yeah, fine. So we have cleared all the errors for now. So now we have our public UI state that we can access from our UI. So now let's update our add to cart so that we can access that as well. So here we create a variable that we call quantity, like this, equal to quantity dot value. So moving on, now that we've created the variable for our quantity, we can create another variable that that we're going to call products like this, and we'll assign that to our product.ui.value.getSuccessData or null, or we'll return like this. And then after that, now we call our ViewModel scope to run from our coroutine, ViewModel scope dot launch, and here we call our base UI state dot update, because adding to card means updating our card. Yeah, then here we pass it dot copy, then we pass our action message and assign that to null like this. Okay, then we say when customer repository dot add to cart, then we pass our parameters, which is our product ID is going to be product.id. This is products.id like this. Then we have our quantity to add. We assign that to the quantity that we've created above. Then there's one more thing. I want us to, like, when we look at our database at a glance, for we to be able to see which particular product, but because this product ID is going to be the random generated ID, which we cannot use to identify each of those items they have added to their card. So, but when we go further towards analytics and observability, we'll be able to do that in our admin panel to properly ascertain which product. But for now, let's do it so that it will be possible for us to just at a glance see what they have added in their cart or what they have in their cart. So we go to our customer repository, and in our add to cart function, we can add product title like this, and it's going to be a string. So we need to add that up in our implementation as well. There's our add to cart. Yeah, this is our add to cart. So she is complaining. So product title, which is also a string here. So now we need to map that as well. So we say product or just title, I guess, because in our model, I think it's just title. Yeah, it's just title. So we assign that to product title like this. Okay, and don't forget to add the comma. So I think that's fine now. So when we go here, we need to add that as well, product title to products.title like this. Okay, so now that we've got that, so we now say is request state success. Then we now here, for we to get the selected item, when we click that add to cart, where if you remember, we have just selected an item from our product overview screen, which led us to the product details. So that particular item, for we to get the price value for that item, let's initialize, set a var that we'll call initial total to get that price of that item, initial total, and we set that to product.price times quantity, because in that same place the user also have the ability, let me see if this is still open. We don't have any running device, so let's just run this to start the emulator and show you what I mean. Okay, it won't let us run it. So this is what I mean. When the user increase the quantity, for instance here, that means they have added 2 of this product. So if we click on the add to cart, when it opens, I think it will be better shown with the other one. So now when the user, let's say the user, this double cheesy beef burger, the user collected 2. So now when they click the add to cart, it brings out the total price here, down here. So which sums up, that says that they have just picked 2 of those items, and it gives us the sum here. So that's why we're trying to get that sum from here. Okay, so after that, now we can now call our base UI state dot update, and we pass it dot copy like this. Then in the body, we ask to show suggested dialog, we now set that to true. Then our added cart total is now going to be the initial total from the start. So then after that, we can now call our suggested enabled dot value. Then we can also set that to true as well, so that we can can show us the suggested items. So now we can now say call for error. So our error is going to be our base UI state dot update, then we pass it dot copy action message, and we can give them a little message that says failed to add to cart, like this. Okay, then after that we can now call our else and pass our unit. So that's the function to add to cart now. Okay, so now that we have been able to do that successfully, the next thing we need to do is to create another function that we now use to add those suggested items to cart as well. So let's do that now. So we'll do down here and say we create a function that we'll call add suggested to cart. So here we're going to pass the product, our product again, that is going to be of the product class. Then our quantity to add, we set that to int and initialize that to 1. So they can only add one quantity. If you remember, here is just the checkbox. So that means this can just add one item. So you see, just added one item to our total here. If you click this one, the same thing, it adds this, it adds it up. So just one, it will initialize that to 1 for now. Okay, but later you can give them the option to increase the quantity as well if you chose to. So now let's prevent them from adding duplicate. So in case they tap it like 2 times, so we say if base UI state dot value dot add suggested IDs dot contains product dot ID, we should return. So that means we're just setting just one product. So if they have clicked it already and they click it again, since the product ID already exists, we should not duplicate it. Okay, so that's just a very lightweight implementation, but I know we are supposed to give them the option to take more than one if they choose to, but that will be in later. Okay, so now we say customer repository dot add to cart, then we still pass our product. So I can just go up here and copy this and paste it here. So now this is products, not products. Okay, so here is now going to be our quantity to add, like this. Okay, so then after that we can now in the body pass is requested dot success. So here we call our base UI state again dot update, then we can call this state, then here we say state dot copy, and we pass add suggested IDs, and we assign that to state dot add suggested IDs plus products dot ID, like this. So then after that we will get our total as well. So we'll say added cart total, we assign that to our state dot added cart total plus the new product dot price times the quantity added, which is always 1. Okay, so then else we pass our units. Okay, so we don't want to close this once they have selected one item. We want them to take their time, take as many as they want, then close when they have finished. Okay, so now the next thing is, now they have added products from the suggested products, and they have also added from the initial selected product. Let's also give them the option to remove, that's to uncheck the box if they chose to. So remove suggested from cart. So they haven't got the option yet to remove the originally selected product, but they can remove from the checkbox from here. So when we go to our cart screen, they will be able to remove any product they decide to remove from their cart before they check out. Okay, so quantity to remove is also an int. So we want them to remove, since they were given the option to remove only one, to add only one, they can also remove only one. Okay, so now we say var, we create a variable that we'll call was added to show that the product was just added, equal to our base UI state dot value dot added suggested IDs dot contains product dot ID, like this. So once the product exists, we can now remove them, but if they don't exist, if they were not added, then we should return, so that we don't remove another item that we're not supposed to remove. Okay, so now we call our ViewModel scope dot launch. So here we use when statement and say when customer repository dot remove. Okay, we've not created that function yet, just yet. Okay, so let's go to our customer repository and create that function before we can proceed. So we can just duplicate this add to cart, copy this and edit that. So this will be remove from cart. So we don't need the product title, we just need the product ID and the quantity to remove, like this. Okay, so it's still our request state and it returns a unit. So now we need to create that function, implement that function. So here it will be similar to add to cart. So let's just copy this and paste that here, then edit. Okay, so now, I'll remove from cart. This is going to be quantity to remove, and it's still the same. We get our UID, yes, product is blank, then we can't remove it, so it's invalid product. So our path is still the same. Then here we run our transaction. So if snap does not exist, we should return run transaction, like that. So then let's create some variables here to get the quantity. So we say current quantity is equal to snap dot get long, then we pass the field, which is our quantity field, or we return 0 long. So then we cast that dot to int, like this. So then we can also create another variable for our new quantity. That's when after the initial quantity have been removed, an item has been removed. So we say current quantity minus quantity to remove, like this. So that will be our new quantity. So we now say if new quantity is less than or equal to 0, that means our cart will be removed, it will be deleted. So we can say, let's take away this map. So we'll call transaction.delete here. Then we now pass our cart doc. So the document reference should be deleted. So else, this will now update. That means there are some other elements that are still remaining in our cart. So we have to update the quantity that is remaining, and this is the quantity to remove. Okay, so the quantity and the time the update or the item was removed, so we can track things in real time. So this is going to be failed to remove item from cart, like this. Okay, so now we have created that function. We can now go over to our product view model, and we say remove will be a remove from cart. We'll be able to find that now. So now remove suggested from cart, then we pass our product.id, then quantity to remove. Okay, so now after that we can now call is success, is requested dot success, and we call our base UI state dot update. Then we can call this state as well. Then here we say state dot copy, then we add our suggested IDs and assign our state dot added suggested minus product dot ID. Okay, so now that we have removed the product, we can add the added cart total. Now will be state dot added cart total, which is the remaining item in our cart, minus product dot price, so that we can also reduce the price as well, and quantity to remove. So we call dot coerce at latest and set the maximum to 0.0, because if there is no item to remove, there is nothing to remove. Okay, then we can now call else, and we assign that to unit. So that's that function done. So now we have created to remove. So now the next function is to implement this toggle favorite, and here we say ViewModel scope dot launch. So here we call our customer repository dot toggle favorite, then we pass our product ID, like this, and that's it to toggle our favorite. Then we also need to clear and dismiss the suggested dialog later. So we call our base UI state dot update, then we pass it dot copy, then our show suggested dialog can now set that to false. If the user clicks outside of then action message should be null. If the user clicks outside of the dialog and closes the dialog, or click on the close button that is there, dot value, we will also assign this to false. So with that, we can gladly say that we've implemented all the functions. Let's optimize this. Ignore some of this one in it, just some of these functions that we have not called anywhere yet. Okay, so we can now move over now to our UI and flesh this out and connect all the links so that our buttons will be functional. So in our product details screen, let's first of all create a variable for our UI state, and here we say UI state by ViewModel dot UI state dot collect our state. So now we have exposed our state in our UI like this. So then you remember this dialog, we have not created it yet. So let's create this dialog. And what I did was I modified our product card, our main product card, so that we can use it, because there is too much detail in our product card. So I modified that in order to create this card. I know you can do something better, but at least for now it does the main thing. It shows you the energy value, the price, the title, then a picture of the item. Then you can now click here. So that's exactly what we are about going to do now. So let's create that component as part of our component here. So we have a dialog package here. So let's add a new Kotlin file that we call add more to cart dialog. That's a very long name, but it does the job. So this is supposed to be a composable function, not a class. First of all, let's create that cart product card, then we can now add it to our dialog. So what we'll do here is create a new in the outer components here. So we create a new Kotlin file that we will call cart product card like this. So what I will do is I will go to our main product card, which is this one, and I'll copy everything. I'll copy everything except the title. I'll copy this, then I'll paste this, I'll paste this. Okay, so now here we can modify that. So we still need our modifier, our product, yes, string, yes, everything is fine. So here we reduce the size to 100 to fit. Then yes, the border is still the same, every other thing still the same, but here the async image comes first before the column. So we copy our async image from here, cut start, then we put it on top of here. We've changed the position of that, and everything about the async image, the image is going to be 80 now, and then the height is still good, every other thing is still good. So in the column, every other thing about the column is still okay. So here we have the title, then we have the title, right? Yes. So then the spacer, so here we have the description, which is no longer required. So yes, so then our row for the price and the energy value is still pretty much okay. We are fine with this, so we can proceed. For now, let's optimize the imports here. So we can now proceed to our add more to cart and develop that further. So in our add more to cart, we're going to have some parameter, which is going to, first of all, we have our suggested products, which is going to return our request state of type list and product, like that. So after that, we need to import the product class. Then after that, we have our added IDs for the IDs of the products that were added, and we use a set for that, which is a set of strings. So now we have the total price, which we need to collect. Total price. So the total price here is going to be a double, and also we have on dismiss, and it's going to be an empty units. So then we have on product click, which we might implement later, and it's going to be of string type unit. Then we also have added on add check, and this is going to be product, and also on remove check, and this is going to be product, on checkout, which we are going to implement later, and that's going to be a unit as well. All right. So that was a very long list of parameters, but it's fine. So here we call our alert dialog, and on dismiss request, we pass on dismiss, and container color, we set that to our surface. Then title, our title, we use a lambda to set a text for our title. So here we say text, we set our text to like something extra. Then we set the font family to our Oxford variant font, and the font size is going to be medium. Then we have the color, and the color is going to be our text primary. Then we have our font weight to be font weight semi-medium. Why is this guy complaining? So let's specify all the remaining argument and see if this error will leave us alone. So here we call the test, and we say suggested products dot display result, and here on idle we assign that to a test. So let's copy this test here, even though it's complaining. Okay, it's alright, that will be fine soon. So if no, the test will say on idle, we will say no suggestions yet. That's if our list did not return any element. So let's use a modifier to grade that out a little bit. So then the font size here is going to be regular. Then our text primary, the font weight should be just a normal font. Okay, so now the next thing, we have to add our unloading, on error, and on success. So let's call unloading. Unloading here, we call our loading card, and we use the modifier to set it to fill max size like that. So then on error, we call our info card. So our info card is going to have, let's call this message. So our title will say oops, then our subtitle will say message, like that. We don't need this modifier, nor do we need transition spec. So now we use a lambda to call our success. Did I import the wrong alert dialog? Why is this complaining? Okay, so let me just add the dismiss and unconfirm and see. Yeah, okay, so we're in the clear. So let's implement on our success. So on success, we use a column. So we call a column, and we start our column a little bit. Let's just put this just vertical arrangement, and arrangement dot spaced by 12.dp. Then we can now call our product dot take. So we can call this product. So product.take. So we want to take only 10 items for now. Then dot for each, we call this product. Then we use val. So for our checked, to say checked, we assign that to added IDs dot contains product dot ID, like that. So in our, we use a box here and say box. We use our modifier to set the box to fill the maximum width. Then here under that, in the box, we now call our cart product card, and here we call our product and assign that to our product. Then on click, on product click, can take this out. So then after, in that same box, we now call a checkbox that we use to check that item. So checkbox. So checked, we assign that to checked that we just created. Then on check change, this is where the magic happens. So we say when noun checked, and so on check change, we can call this noun checked. So when noun checked and is not checked, we call that put that here. Yeah. So when noun checked and is not checked, we should now on added checked, and now we pass our product. So that means the user have added a product. Yeah, the checkbox is click is ticked. So now then if the checkbox is unclicked, then we should say, well, if not now checked and is checked, we now return on remove checked, and we pass our product as well. So this is the function to check and uncheck our checkbox. Okay, so let's add the modifier to style our check, to position our check. So we say modifier, our famous modifier dot align. So we set the alignment dot bottom end like this. So we can also add a padding. We set the end of the padding to be 6.dp so that it doesn't squash to the wall of our card. Then we can add a clip and add our rounded corner shape, and we can set that to 12.dp. Let's see how this will go. We show. Alright, so now that we've completed that, let's implement our confirm button that will collect that price and also lead us to our checkout later. Okay, so now in our confirm button, we're going to use a button, and here we say on click is equal to on checkout. We're going to need to import button here. Okay, so then after on click, let's use a modifier, our famous modifier dot height, to set the height of our button, and we set that to 46.dp. Then we need a width as well. We need a fixed height and a fixed width because of the space we have down there. So let's set that to 200.dp. Then shape is going to be a rounded corner shape that we set to 12.dp. Then we have our colors. So our button defaults dot button colors. So we can set this to our brand yellow like that. So in the body of our button, we're going to add a text, and our text is going to say checkout. Then we have our pound sign. Then let's format the price that is going to give us to two significant places dot 2f, then dot format. So this is going to be our total price, and close that. We need the curly braces here. Okay, so that's fine now. Then we have our font weight. So our font weight, whenever we're talking about money, we like money to be bold, so we'll make our font weight bold. Then font size, and font size dot regular. Then color, we set that to our text primary like this. Okay, so then after the text, we should add a spacer, and that spacer we say modifier is equal to modifier dot width, and let's set that to 8.dp for now. Then under that, we add our icon, and our icon is going to be, we use painter, and painter resource, we call our resources dot icon dot shopping cart. Then our content description is going to be shopping carts icon shopping. Alright, so then after that, let's set the size of this icon. So you use modifier and set the size of our icon to 16.dp. I think that's what we made the other button. Import the size extension. Then the icon, the tint is going to be icon primary like this. So with that, our button is complete for the confirm button. So now we can now say on dismiss, we use a text button. Then on click, we call on dismiss. So in the body, we're going to use an icon. So I can actually steal this icon here and paste it here and change this to our close icon. Then this is going to be close icon like that. It's still 16. Yeah. So now we have a spacer. You can copy this spacer here, copy that, paste that here, then also copy this text and paste that here. Makes life a lot easier. So here, this is simply going to say close, and the font weight should be semi-bold. Then the font size is regular, color is text primary. Then our font weight family is going to be our text primary. Oh, sorry, our font family is our Oswald variable font here like that. So now our alert dialog is ready. So what we can do now is to go to our product details screen and call that here. So what we'll say is if UI state, so if UI state dot show suggested dialog, then we can now call add more to cart dialog like that. So if we specify all the remaining items, did we call all of them? Yeah, okay. So now we can, our suggested product is going to be our UI state dot suggested products like that. Then added IDs will be our view model. Then added IDs will be our UI state dot added suggested IDs like that. Then our total price will be UI state dot added to cart total. Yeah. Then on dismiss is going to be our view model. This is that dismiss? Is that what we call? Yeah, dismiss suggested dialog. Then on product click, we'll leave that as empty for now. Then on added checked, we can use a lambda. Let's call this product. So here we can now say view model dot added suggested to cart. Then we pass our product and quantity to add, and we reassign that to 1. Okay, so down here on remove checked, we can call that product as well, product, and we call our view model dot, what did I remove? Okay, remove suggested from cart. Then we pass our product, then quantity to remove, we reassign that to 1 as well. Okay, so then on checkout, we haven't implemented that yet, so let's leave that as an empty lambda for now. So the next thing we need to do is to go to our button, which is on success, right? So our buttons are wired already, so we don't have much to do here anyways. So you can see how easy that was because we have prepared this ahead of time, which makes it more interesting. Okay, so now if we give our app a quick spin, let's see if we got everything right. All right, moment of truth. Okay, so let's touch this guy. Okay, so you can see we have 2 products here and we're able to collect that check. So but it seems like the size of this confirm button is too large, which makes it now shoot this off. So let's reduce that. Let's go back to our add more to cart dialog and on check on confirm. Yes, so let's reduce this to 180 for instance and relaunch our app. Okay, you see that looks better now. So we have our close and it collected the price as we planned. Okay, so that looks amazing. So when we click this, it toggles and it adds up. If we click this, it toggles and it adds up. And if we uncheck that, you see that function is working. So if we click this, we close that down, right? So that's very sweet. Let's see if this addition is working as well. So if we go add to cart, we have added to, yeah, we have 13.98. So it seems to be working really as expected. Then let's toggle this and see if the favorite is toggled. Not yet. So let's see what's going on there. Product details screen. Our favorite button should be somewhere here. So bottom actions, that's where our favorite button is. Yes, so here, these are favorites. So on favorite click, let's go up there where this was called. Here, toggle favorites. Yeah, it's assigned to the right function. So let's see why it's still not working. Okay, let's troubleshoot this bit by bit. Let's go to our lockout and see when we try to toggle that on, nothing happens. Okay, all right, so our favorite is not working. So okay, let's go to our product details screen once again. Let's close this down. So I had a look. Our favorite toggle is actually working. Like as you can see from our database, if we toggle that, you see it's removed from our database. When you toggle that, it comes back on. It's saved in our database, but we have not implemented the read for it to read and show that this is actually now a favorite item by indicating with that love heart, the field love heart. So let's do that now so that we'll be able to see that in our UI, but it's actually working on the back end. So there is no issue with our code. So we just need that slight improvement to make things look as they should. All right. So for we to do that, we need to add another parameter here in our bottom action, which is going to be is favorite. So this is going to be a boolean. Okay, like that. So now when we go back to where we call that, it's going to request for us to add that is favorite. We now we say our UI state dot is favorite like this. So with that, we'll be able to mark this item as its favorite. So let's give it a quick spin and see if that shows up. I think the last time I clicked it, it should be there. So if we can read that flow yet, I think we implemented that initially. Okay, so my bad, I will miss out something here. We're supposed to set the condition to swap this favorite icon here, not here, in that bottom card. Yeah, you see it hasn't been called yet. So what we need to do is go to our icon. Where are you? Here. So we call in this painter resource, we're going to say if, we can as well put that in a new line. We say if is favorite is true, then we should call resources dot icon dot field. Oh, we don't have that icon yet, so let's go to our drawable. I think I have it somewhere. Yeah, the field icon, this one. So I can copy this and paste that here. That should be fine. So I need to go to our resources and just, yeah, this is the heart icon. Let's place it close by. So here we say this is going to be field heart. I think it's heart field. Yes, or heart field. Let's give it the same name. Right, so that's okay now. So once we go back to our product details screen, we can now call heart field like this. Okay, else it should be the other way around. So let's give our app a quick spin again and see if that makes the difference we're looking for. All right, so here, let's that moment of truth. As you can see, our art is filled here. Okay, so but the tint now is black, which we also still need to improve that. So now let's add a tint here. So we set the condition to say if it's favorite, then the color should be brown, else it should be icon primary, so that we'll have a uniform UI there. So let's check that out. So down here, we can see that it has changed to brown, which makes it uniform with our theme. Okay, so we have implemented this and we have also implemented this. Then the next thing is to prepare our cart, but that will be in the next episode because I want this episode to be as short as it can be. So in the next episode, we're going to implement the cart. But before we go, I want us to implement that temporary cart badge to show how many items, even though this leads to nowhere, to show how many items that we have in the cart here up here. Then as well, I want to add that favorite icon to all the products that we are showcasing here, so that they can also see items from the product overview screen that are favorite or not. Okay, so let's do the product overview screen, then implement the cart badge, then we can now conclude this episode. So if you need to go and grab a drink, just go and come back. Let's continue. So for us to implement the favorite icon here, let's open up our product card and add those parameters. Here's our product card and we can open that up. So we need to add some new items here. So first of all, let's add show favorites icon, and this is going to be a boolean. Let's initialize that to false for now. So, and also is favorite, and this is also going to be a boolean. We'll initialize that to false because we want this to only show when that item has been marked as favorite. On toggle favorite, and this is going to be of type string, and this is going to be a unit. So this could be nullable at first. Okay, so these new 3 items are needed. Then for us to show that, what we need to do now is to add our async image in a box. So here is our async image down here. So we cut that out, cut this out. So what we need is we call a box, and in that box we can paste our async image, and say under that we can now say if show favorite icon is true, then we call our line icon button, and on click we pass on toggle favorite dot invoke product dot id, so that we can identify the particular product that have been toggled as favorite. Then we use a modifier, and we set our modifier dot align. So we want it to be alignment the top end like that. Dot padding, we set our padding to 12.dp. Then we also set the size. We set the size to 36.dp. Then we can also set the shape of the align text button. We set it to a rounded corner shape, and we set the size to 12.dp as usual. Then our border, we can also set that to our border stroke, and we set that the width to 1 dp, and the border color should be border idle like that. So now inside this we can now call our icon. So we can go to our product overview screen and just copy this icon and set that here, because it's the same thing. Okay, so now that we've done that, we'll now go to our product overview screen where this product card is called, and also implement all those extra parameters that we've added. So what we need to do now is to go to our product overview screen, which is part of our home package. We go to the product overview view model. Here we're going to add our customer repository. So here, so that we can access that favorite to read the favorite flow, and also to toggle the favorites that we did before. So we create a private var that we call customer repository like this. So here what we need to do now is to, under here, let's create that variable that we call favorite IDs, which is going to return a state flow of type request state that will set, and of type string like this. So we can assign that to our customer repository.read favorite ID flows like that. So then you can just copy one of these statements here to get the state, copy and paste that here. So this is going to be loading like this. So the next function we need to create is the favorite toggle favorite. So function, we say toggle favorite, and we said that outside it's going to have a parameter is our product ID of type string. Then we say if product ID dot is blank, then we should return. That means no item is favorite. So if not, then we call our view model scope dot launch, and we call our customer repository dot toggle favorites like this. Then we pass our product ID like that. Okay, so now that we've done that, we can now go to our product overview screen, and we go and hunt down our product card, which we called for the popular and the discounted product. So this is the discounted products. So here is our product card. So here we can now say show favorites icon. We set that to true. Then is favorite, we set that to favorite ID. So first of all, we need to go up here and collect the state for our favorites. So here we say create a var that we'll call favorite id states by ViewModel dot favorite ids dot collect our state, like that. Then var favorite ids, we assign that to favorite id states dot get sources data or null dot or empty, like that. So down here, where are you? I'll find you with this. Okay, so down here we say favorite ids dot contains product dot id, like that. So the next one is our on toggle favorite. We say our ViewModel toggle favorites, like that. So we can copy exactly this and go to our popular product, yes, here, and paste the same, and it will still be fine. So now if we give our app a quick spin, we should be able to see our favorite icon somewhere for the ones that are favorite. Okay, I've missed that again. So now we need to get that new repository that we just added. All right, that should be fine now. So always add your get function for the module when you are using dependency injection, whenever you add a new repository in your ViewModel. All right, as you can see, we have that toggle, and we can even toggle them on and off from here now, which makes a whole lot of sense to me. Okay, so we have achieved that, but I noticed something in our product overview screen which I'm not entirely happy about. The gap between this and this is not so looking so good. So for our menu, not here, okay, here. So why don't we just add a spacer between these two items and use our famous modifier and assign that to modifier.height and set it to like 8.dp. That should make a difference. Okay, that's not a composable, so cut that and just put that here. I think that should be happy now. Yeah, I think that looks better. We can even go ahead and make it 12, so that will now be a lot better. So now that we have implemented this, let's add that cat badge. Okay, yeah, that's a lot better. That's a lot better now. So let's go ahead and add the cat badge. All right, before we do that, let's commit this change. Commit and push. All right, that's fine now. So let's add our cat's badge widget. So now to add our badge to this cat icon, what we simply need to do is that we go to our customer repository and create yet another function. Here, the function is going to read our badge count flow. That's to read the item in our cart. So we read badge count flow, and this doesn't have any parameters, so we will return a flow of type request state, and this is going to be of type int, like this. Okay, so that's just the function that we need. So if we go to our repo implementation, so now we need to implement that function. Let's copy one of these and just modify it. So we get our UID, if not blank send. So we need to assign this to channel flow. Then we call our send, user is not available, then send request state loading, the same. So but here we are going to our cat sub collection, like that. Yes, snapshot, collect latest, then send request dot success data. So this is going to be our snapshot dot size, like that. So here we are not calling any IDs. We don't need the IDs. We just need to get the item count in our cart. So that's it. So the error here will read fail to read items, or fail to read the size of the item in the cart. Okay. So now that's the function that we need to read our batch count flow. So what we need now is to go to our home view model, because home view, this is our menu. Our bottom bar navigation is in our home view model. So if we go to our home view model, so in our home view model, we can create a variable here that we call our cart badge count, and it will return a state flow, and we call our request state, and we pass our int, like that. Then we assign that to our customer repository dot read batch count flow, like that. Then we can copy one of these states in, copy that, paste that here, then this is going to be request state dot loading, like that. So with this now, we can now go back to our home screen. But before we go to our home screen, let's go to our bottom bar navigation. This is our bottom bar. So here we have our selected destination. So let's add that parameter, which is our cart count, and it's going to be an int, like that. So that's fine now. So what we need to do is to go down here where we have our icon button. So we can now enclose this, cut this out in a box, right? So in that box we paste this. Then if we now say if destination is equal to bottom bar destinations, is that not what it's called? Yeah, bottom bar destinations dot cart, and the cart count is greater than 0. That's when we want this card to show. Or we can set and also we can set if selected is not equal to bottom bar destinations dot cart then we should show our badge. So what it means is that if we're in the cart, for instance, we don't want to show the badge because we're already in the cart, so they can see whatever they have in their cart. So there's no point showing the badge at that point. But if we're in any other destination like notification or categories or even the product overview screen, the badge should show. That's this last condition that we have added here. So let's call our badge. So we use modifier to style our badge. So we set our alignment dot top end, like that. So the next thing is to add some padding. So our padding, let's set it to the top and set that to 2.dp. We can modify this when we see how it shows. Then end, we set that to 2.dp as well. 2, not 3. Okay, so now after that we can set the the container color to be our brand yellow. Then our content color should be our text primary. All right, so now after that we can now set the text that will read the count. So our test is going to say if if cart count is greater than 99, we should show 99 plus. Should add this in we should show 99, else we should show cart count dot toString. We show the actual cart count if it's less than 99. Then the font family is going to be our Oswald font variant, and also the font size is going to be our font size dot extra small, like that. So then the font weight is going to be our font weight dot bold, so that it will be readable. So now that we have added this modification in our bottom bar, let's go to our home screen. So in our home screen, where did we call our bottom bar? So here we now have to add those parameters. So we can now add our cart count, and we set that to our cart count. Okay, we need to collect the state of that cart count. So let's go up here. We can create the variable and say cart badge state by ViewModel dot cart badge count dot collector state. Then val is cart count. Then we assign that to our cart badge state dot get success data or null, or we return 0 if nothing came back. So now here we call our cart count like this. And that's all. Okay, so that moment of truth, let's relaunch our app and see if our badge shows as we expect it to. Okay, so it worked. So our badge is showing now. So you see, when we click on go to the cart screen, it disappears. When we go to another destination, it comes on. So when we go to the cart screen, it disappears again. Okay, so that makes it sweet. So that means we have only one item in our cart in the database. But let's see if that is true. Let's see if that's actually true. Let's make this a floatable window, minimize that. go to our database. So this is our carts, so here we have one. So you see we have only one item here. Okay, so medium McFlurry is our item. So if we minimize that again, minimize this, then bring this back and bring this. So the French fries, if we add that to cart, you see our database was immediately updated right here. If we add another French fries, that's 2 French fries now, then we can check out here. We haven't implemented this method, but as you can see, everything is working, and now our badge have also been updated to 2, meaning that we have 2 items in our badge now. So isn't that wonderful that we are able to come this far with this project? So now in the next episodes, we are going to implement our cart screen so that we can show the elements in our cart screen, and possibly implement our category screen so that when our users click here, they can view more products, and this can take them to the category screen. So then after that, we will now implement the checkout, which this button is for. So, and with that, I will say that might be the end of this series. So you can now take it further from there and make it yours. Okay, so until the next episode, enjoy the rest of your week. Bye.